Gordon's up. What's up, Gordon? He says, "Hey guys, wishing you continued great health and wealth. I have a quick question, but before asking it, a couple of weeks ago, you were answering a question about linking to a GMB listing to boost its ranking, but you forgot to mention whether or not it was okay to hammer the listing with a whole bunch of backlinks or whether it was best to just use a Google RYS Drive Stack. Can you please comment? I'll ask my actual question below. Yeah, I mean, you can, I try not to, you can hammer GMB websites, for example, map URLs, the G site, all of it, because it's all Google, right? And so I know you can hammer away at those. More lately, I've been treating them as almost as if they're money sites because I want to be able to manipulate the anchor text ratios better than doing like bulk links, where it's harder to be really surgical, I guess, with anchor text when you're doing bulk links. So I've been for some of the newer assets that I've set up, I've been treating the GMB website and the GMB map URL, the CID equals URL, as their money pages. Like, in other words, very strategic link building with very specific anchor text. And then I power up the tier one links. That's what we were just talking about. But yes, I've got lots of assets out there right now where I just freaking hammered the GMB websites, and not so much the GMB URLs, map URLs. Although I just started recently doing a little bit more testing with just smashing the CID equals URL, the map URL. I don't have any data for that yet, though. So, I mean, can you get away with just hammering Google properties? Yeah. Marco, I'm sure, is going to comment on this. You can just smash them. But like I said, specifically, I'm doing some testing with treating them more like tier one, or excuse me, like money site properties, to see what I can do with that as well. But yes, typically you can just hammer away. Go ahead, Marco.
All right, so I talked about a case study in the Heavy Hitter Club. Well, it was a client who came in and he needed some entity work, and part of that entity work was literally mashing the GMB and the post and everything involved in that GMB. Again, it's things that I'm not going to into. You can get tons of power out of that GMB. I mean, tons and tons of power in that GMB. And since so much power accrues in that, then you can push that over to other places, but you have to understand how. Once you understand how, you can just mash it. And I'm talking about millions of tiered links, not just a couple of hundred, not just a couple of 100,000, but millions. And it not only took it like a champ, this guy went from between 80 and 90,000 a year to like 450K a quarter. We're talking about 1.6 million or more a year from 90K a year. But that's because I had the green light to do what I needed to do to get that sucker to produce the way it needed to. And so once I get the green light, and if you have the budget for it, or if you're in one of our groups where I share it and tell you and show you, because I show people, this is how it was done. This is one of the websites that we treated as a case study. And I look, this is exactly what happened. This is how it went from 80K to a year, 80 to 90 to 1.6 million a year. Think about that. Think about how many X's that is. Think about that. So all of that is available now. If you want to keep that pristine, then all you have to do is take a step out.
Right.
One of the ways that Bradley's doing it is a great way. How Bradley's doing it is great. Or you can just iframe it. Take that and iframe it. There's S3. There's all kinds of places you can get an iframe gig from MGYB. You can do one of a million things. You've been with us long enough, Gordon, because I see you here all the time asking these questions.
Yeah.
Come over to the dark side so I can give you more. Because there's so much more here and all it is thinking a little bit and saying, okay, this is what I need to do. Because I teach people to think. I even do that, not what to think, but how to think. I don't want to teach people what to think. Of course, I don't want anyone thinking like me, but how. And my approach is if then else. And this is perfect. If I want to keep my GMB pristine and clean, then I cannot link build straight to it. If that's the scenario, then if I cannot build to my GMB, then that means I link build one tier out, how Bradley's doing it, or you take it one tier out, which isn't really one tier out if you understand iframes, and blast the hell out of that iframe gig, which is again tiered link building, couple of 100,000, tier backlinks to that iframe, and you're going to see a happy party. I guarantee it. It's a happy party. That iframe protects everything, and is going to be protected by the Google domain, by that Google. It's not a subdomain, but that Google property, because it's business.google.com, right? And then the business site is off somewhere else, but it's all intertwined. And you can iframe that map. Hello. And everything, you can iframe that knowledge panel, and everything lives on that knowledge panel, including your latest post. Hint, hint. I can't give you more. I wish I could. Literally, in the paid groups, and there's not an exception, we also teach SEO and semantic mastery, and in the heavy hitter, we give you the keys to the fucking kingdom. It's up to you guys who are there to use it. We recently had someone, you know how people say that GDocs don't index anymore?
Yeah, full of shit. They're full of shit.
No, hang on. Someone just got a featured snippet with a GDoc.
Yeah.
It's in the RYS group.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I wish I could show it. It's someone else's property. I'm not at liberty to mention what he's doing or how he's doing it. But think about that. You can get a featured snippet with a GDoc. How much power is there in Drive Stacks when you can do that? And if you do it the right way, but you have to follow the rules that we've set. We have to follow the processes and systems. It's about 10 years and more in the making. For me, it's 18 plus years. Bradley's over a decade. Adam is coming up there. Chris has been at it for I mean, you're talking about combined, 40 years that has gone into this to give you guys a system and a process to get this done the right way. Now, you can go follow anybody else and you can do what anybody else says. And that's fine as long as you get results. But when you don't, come back and see me. And Gordon, come over to the doc side. We keep telling you this.
Yeah. And so here's his follow-up, or what his actual question is. He says, if a business directory like Yelp, Angi, Yellow Pages, etc., shows up close to the top of the search results for a local search term in a mid-range competitive area and niche, can use backlinks pointed at a specific business listing profile on that directory page to push that listing to show in the spot instead of just the general directory page? And if so, should you hammer it with backlinks, or should you use very limited backlinks just like Google RYS Drive Stack and maybe a couple of others? And by the way, would running locally targeted YouTube ads linking to that listing be very beneficial for the same purpose? Ooh, that's something I've not tried, Gordon. As usual, thank you very much. And again, for your help. Okay, first of all, yes. All right, let me rephrase all this. Years ago, I used to do exactly what you're asking about with Yelp. And the way I would do it was just because that was, again, several years ago when like domain authority manipulation was the way, like if you could manipulate domain authority, and we knew lots of ways to do it, you could rank. Plain as day. I mean, just as easy as that. Like if you could manipulate domain authority and know how to do it, you could rank anything. Like those were the good old days. If you remember, Marco, I mean, it was crazy how easy it was to rank stuff if you knew how to manipulate domain authority. And so that was actually how I would used to do exactly what you're asking about with Yelp listings, is if a Yelp directory index page would show up, like, you know, the top tree service contractors in Fairfax, Virginia, for example, which is nothing other than another search results page. Like, in other words, Google ranks a Yelp search results page, which I always thought was the dumbest thing in the world. Why would you go from one search engine to click through a result that is nothing other than just another search engine result? It's just the Yelp search engine result. I always thought that was the dumbest thing, but that is still what's going on today. Roughly 60% of all page one organic rankings for local search terms in the industries I'm in are directory sites, and they're mostly index pages, not individual profile or company listings. So with Yelp, yes, I used to do exactly what you're talking about. When it would be a Yelp index page, I would take the listing, as long as the listing was part of that same index page, like in other words, within that same category, then you could just hammer that with backlinks, and we would use just spam links. Dadia service from an MGYB, the link building service, essentially, where you would hammer that that with not strategic links, but just kitchen sink spam. And you would just push the domain authority up, or excuse me, the page authority up for that particular listing. And that would end up getting it to over time. And sometimes it would happen quicker than others, depending on how much page authority you could push to that page, the individual listing, I mean, the company profile. Then it would end up popping in place of where the Yelp index page was. But it took a lot of power to push to do that, but it was able to be done. So let me just give you, now I haven't tested that in years. It's been several years since I've done that. So I don't know if it still works. I'm assuming it does, but at that second part of your question where you say, would sending local traffic, right? So local IP clicks to that particular listing, and we'll just keep going with Yelp as the example, would that get it to outrank the index page, the category page, essentially? I don't know. I've not tested that, but that sounds like a really good thing to test, which I might even actually end up doing now that you mentioned that. So let me just give you an example real quick. If I say tree service, let's just use Fairfax, VA, because I mentioned that. Son of a bitch. I don't know why that, I keep hearing my camera taking still shots. I don't know why. Anyways, my webcam. All right, we'll take this. Let's see if Yelp is here.
Been hacked.
Right here is Yelp. Okay. So if we go here in the Yelp, and we're just going to select one, let's just take, well, that's the #1 ranking, organic ranking website anyway. So let's just go with strictly, or Big Steve's Tree Care. That sounds like a good one. All right. So from here, you've got that URL that you could push links to, right? But that's only one of dozens of URLs on this page that you could build links to. Okay. So a number of them that you could also build links to, and we've talked about this, over the years, we've showed this a few times, but if you scroll down, you're going to see, unless it's changed, which maybe it has, there should be the href language, or what do they call it? The different language URLs, and it may have changed. It looks like it might have. Remember when they used to have all the language URLs on here? I don't see them now. It used to be a long list of them, so that may have changed. But you can go into
do a Control F href lang.
Yeah, Control F, and was it LAN?
Yeah, LANG, or
yeah. See, it's not finding it.
Language.
Nope.
Maybe
it's not finding it. So they must have stripped those out, which was essentially like they would all redirect to the same. Canonicalize essentially to the same URL. But anyways, it looks like they stripped those out, but those were great link building targets. But you can also just go through the page source and you can find other URLs within the page source to you right click, copy link address, put it into a notepad file, and then you can just build links to those, right? Then the other things that you can do is, like, for example, photos and videos. You click into photos and videos, and if you take a look at the address bar, that's a unique URL for this page. Change to the next image, there's another URL for this page. Does that make sense? So you go through and you extract all of the URLs from the images, extract URLs from the reviews. If there's reviews on the page, you extract, which there are down here. So like you could, extract the reviews from there, the URLs, everything that you can find within this page that is part of this page URL here. So in other words, as long as the beginning part of the URL is this, then anything else that comes beyond that you can extract from this page becomes link building targets. And so you can just smash the shit out of it, is what I'm saying, and get and push the page authority up of the particular page. And that's the metric that I would use back in the day. I haven't done this in several years, but that was really the trick. If you could push the page authority above the domain authority, or get it close anyways, then it would often, if you could push the page authority above the page authority of the index page, which would be this page, then it would typically outrank or pop into the place where it was ranked in the search results. Like, in other words, this individual listing would show up here as opposed to, where was it? Yelp here. Now, again, I haven't done that in years, but I think doing what we just talked about with links and everything, and then maybe adding some local clicks through either Google Ads or a CT spam tool that's been built correctly, might help. So what do you think, Marco?
Can you scroll to the bottom of that page, please?
Sure. This one?
Yeah, to the footer. Languages. Can you switch to language?
Where do you see oh, here?
On the right.
Right here. Yeah, maybe that's it.
Because I think they moved languages to a subdomain.
No, it looks like they're changing the actual extension, the domain extension.
Okay.
So this is .de, but there you go. Because I believe they all canonicalize to the US version, don't they? I believe
Well,
so.
you would
If we
have to do a
actually-
Control F canonical.
Yeah, let's do a quick page source. Right there.
And if it canonicalizes, then you're good to go.
Traffic, remove canonical links on paginated pages, no canonical. That's one of 10 matches. So I just have to keep looking to find it. But yeah, if you go back, typically it used to be they would list all of those language URLs and they would all essentially, they were canonicalized back to the main. Yeah, right there. Has canonical and it's right there. Slash
There you go.
is Big Steve's Tree Care Lorton. So right there's your canonical. So yeah, again, that would be it. If you just go through here and you only have to do this once, guys, because you can figure out what your you do this one time and then you'll know what the URL structure is. Like if you extract each one of these URLs, then now you have a template that you'll know, like, because essentially it's just Yelp dot, in this case, DE or Yelp dot, whatever the other country domain extensions are. So you build that out one time and then all you have to do is take the slug. So after the dot domain extension, then the first forward slash and beyond, if like that right there, that slug could just be appended to all those different language domains essentially, and those all become individual link building targets.
Yep.
So you can create a template one time is what I'm saying. Go ahead.
Or, and this is a big or, while you're there, can you search DC plumber?
Where just in Google, you mean?
Yeah, search Google DC plumber. I love doing this live.
Okay.
And what is the second or third in organic?
Well, we got Yelp as Yelp is the index page, the category page, and then underneath that it looks like there's an individual listing.
But wait a minute, up where it says DC Plumber LLC.
Yes, that's a Google site.
That's the G site.
Right.
Number one. You got a number one.
Number one.
Imagine that we're outranking Yelp and Angie's List and everybody. We managed to outrank. Push enough power, man. Telling you this for years. Push enough power. You can outrank anybody organically and in maps. Look at it. Look at it.
Yeah.
Don't let me tell you. Let me show you. This is what happens. How it's done is only shared in the paid groups, man. So again, Gordon, come over to the dark side, man. Come over. I mean, it's time. It's time, man. You keep asking these questions, and we have to go around. We can't give you everything that we give people. Or how we showed how we did DC Plumber in the paid groups. We're showing other case studies in the paid groups. We can't show you here. So what we have to do is give you all of these things that we've shared before, but we can't really share the how. The how is only shared on the inside. Come on the inside, man.
Very good. That was a great question, by the way, Gordon.